Fix It Tony here. Thanks for clicking on the video again. So we're on part 2 of our series here of cleaning out this radiator, replacing some hoses and some belts. And I showed you before, but this serpentine belt's not in bad shape. It actually looks like it's been replaced. The issue is this water pump belt, and you can see it is right on the verge of being a serious problem. So I'm glad I took this apart. So now we get to do the fun part, which is the cleaning, and there is plenty of cleaning to do here. So let's get started. I'm going to have to separate this intercooler and probably tape off the end so I don't get any water inside of any of this intercooler. The radiator I'm not really worried about. And then we're going to start here with the fan blades. I have my trusty Ego pressure washer. Works very well and not too much pressure. You got to be careful with these blades sometimes, because if you go hog on them, you actually can blow a hole through the blade. So just like nice moderate pressure and you should be just fine. Also, I'm going to see if I need to put degreaser on it. I'm going to spray down, see what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we are about 15 minutes. Some people ask, like, why don't we just spray something on here and try to clean it while it's together? Whether it's the radiator or whether it's this. This is 3,000 PSI, and it took 20 minutes to get the bulk of this stuff off. It's like glue. Once you mix these two things together, some of this stuff, we are going to have to use some degreaser on this, when it's going to be safe for the blades. But two things. One is it becomes like glue on here, and two, it weights the blade. And what does that do? It puts excess drag on the motor. Even though it only may be a few ounces, it does cause a problem. So these blades have to stay clean. And with the oil getting on there, it was just making a giant mess. Is it perfectly clean? No. Is it dramatically better than it was? Yes. So we're gonna spray some simple green on here and give it another scrub down, see if we can make it look any better. All right, we wiped her down. Cleaner worked really well. Just a quick rub and most of it came off. This stuff is actually rust right here, which I'm not worried about. That's not a big deal. But the blade's in good shape. Otherwise, it's all clean, everything's off of it. Obviously it's stained, but that's deep into the plastic, so we're not gonna be able to do anything about that, but everything that's on the surface is off. We're even able to see the sticker from the original manufacturer, so it's just kind of cool. But in any case, the only problem we have is a little chip in the blade, which I'm not concerned with that. If it was even bigger than that, I'd be concerned. I don't see any cracks, I don't see any warpage or any other issues, so we can go ahead and reuse this. But now that she's clean, we can move on to the intercooler. And the intercooler we're gonna have to detach from the radiator itself. There's 4 bolts on here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we could detach it and we're gonna reverse shoot it. But we're first gonna put tape very securely over the ports. We do not want water getting in here, because once the water gets in, it's very difficult to get out. So in any case, we'll get started. All right, so about 25 minutes of cleaning here. You can see all the stuff that came out of here. There's rocks, there's debris, all sorts of crap came out of this thing. But she's nice and clean now. I ended up not having to tape the ends. You just gotta avoid the inputs. But the way you can tell it's clean is you can just put a flashlight through, or you can try to, well, I can't see it now because I'm in the light, but I just went through with a light and just checked all the fins, make sure I got everything, and she's clear. So now we can go let her sit in the sun. I did buy some paint because you don't want to leave paint chips just because of corrosion. You're gonna have issues in the future. So what I'm gonna do is let this thing dry off, and then probably tomorrow morning, before I reassemble everything, or at least start the process, I'll go ahead and reshoot this thing with paint just so it's protected. So anyway, we'll move on to the radiator. Okay, so we're here at the radiator, and the intercooler was bad, but you can see when the intercooler blocked the radiator, it was really bad. And again, I've sprayed this thing 100 times and not have any success. I actually had a little success towards the middle. You can kind of see where some of the water was getting through when I was shooting it, but otherwise it wasn't having any effect. So this is going to require a lot of cleaning. We're going to remove this hose, and again, we're doing the hoses too, and you can see these hoses are shot. And my theory is there's a little gap between the intercooler and the radiator. That becomes a suction zone. So even though they had moved that oil port, the slobber tube back, it was still too close to this suction zone. So the oil was sucking both in front of the intercooler, but also between the radiator and the intercooler. And that's where the bulk of this garbage came from. This is going to take a while to clean. I mean, this thing is thoroughly clogged in multiple areas. Like that's clogged straight through, that's clogged straight through, that's straight through. This really explains why we were getting hot a little bit on hills. Even though I cleared some of it, it wasn't enough. The air needs to flow through this. You know, everyone wants the big increase in horsepower on these diesel pushers. I want to push 400 horsepower. It really isn't the engine that's limiting, it's the cooling capacity. Even though this is a large radiator, it's still not enough to really go up high horsepower amounts just because of these problems that you run into. The manufacturers are really thinking, hey, do we really want to boost these things up to a point where, you know, we're not going to be able to provide enough cooling? And some have, but those also do end up having cooling problems down the line. So we're going to remove this hose, and we're just remember the position it was in, because we're going to reinstall it so it'll be easier to drop the radiator in, so we're not trying to get this hose clamp in. We're going to get some high quality hose clamps while we're over at the cat dealer grabbing the belt. They had the best hose clamps out there, and that's the last thing you want to worry about, is having a crappy hose clamp on one of these, because doing all this work just to have a coolant leak is no fun at all. So we're going to drain her out. We'll take this hose off, flip her up on the side, then dump whatever coolant's left in it out of it, so that we can take it over to our little cleaning station we have over there and get to work. Oh, 30 minutes of blasting this thing. I got everything I could get out of it. It's see-through everywhere now. Probably a good 5 pounds of stuff came out of this. Like, I cleaned this off, but it was a big old black pond here of all the garbage that came out. So definitely clogged. They're both drying. They'll be ready for paint in a little bit here. We'll get paint on those. Now we're going to move on to cleaning that mess over there. Again, just pace yourself. Don't spray wire harnesses directly. Clog anything you don't want water to get into, and you'll be okay. We'll put some gloves over the charge tubes because we don't want anything getting in there. We're not trying to make it spotless. We're just trying to get the bulk of the garbage off of here. So we'll get to it. All right, we sprayed her down. Again, if you want to win a contest for an engine that's spotless that you can't see, go ahead and knock yourself out. I'm not that guy. You won't ever see what's going on with this engine unless you get back in here again. I just wanted it clean of the grit. That balancer, it was black, and now you can see it's actually cat yellow underneath. So kind of funny there, I thought. Again, I just put gloves over the charge tube so that water doesn't get in there. You definitely don't want water in there. And you just want to avoid the computers. The computers are up there. If you get a little water up there, it's okay. But if you high pressure those things, you're bound to have some issues. And then I just wanted to get this all cleaned up the best I could without tearing it completely to pieces, because we're going to go ahead and put new shielding all across there. And then we'll probably drill it in a couple places. There's a pin here, but I can't find it. So we'll put some screws in here. Not a big deal. And there's a few screws that are missing. And you know, as you go along, you're going to find stuff that should be in places, but it's not. So if you do find that, address it while you have the space. The next step's really going to be start replacing these hoses. So pull this hose, we're going to lose some coolant. So we'll just put a drop pan down there. And then we'll go ahead and put the upper hose on. We'll put the elbow on here. There's another elbow here. Sorry. Elbow here. And another elbow there. I think there's 3. Gee, I think that's the other one right there. That one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. But cleaning it off makes it a little bit easier to get in here and deal with this. So we'll pull those clamps off. I do have to stop by the store and pick up new hose clamps. Always replace your hose clamps. I'm going to get the cat ones. Those ones work really well. That's actually one of the cat ones. It'll clamp, but it won't pinch the hose. I had an issue probably about a year ago where this actual outer piece for the thermostat housing had actually eroded and was leaking. So I replaced the thermostat, the 2 thermostats, and the housing. And I knew I was going to have to do the hoses at some point, so that's why we're here today doing all this. So we'll take our belt loose, and we'll get in there, and then we'll get that nasty belt. I got to go to the cat dealer and get that water pump belt also. And then we'll come over here, we'll get that stuff painted, and we'll be good to go. One thing I forgot to mention, I don't know why they did it, but there's a lubrication zerk up here on top of the pulley for the fan. That one sounds fine, but while you have it all apart, lubricate that. And then test your pulleys, just make sure there's no play, and give them a spin. And these all feel fine. it's really going there. But lubricate that point. That is work fitting if you have this type of fan pulley on here, because if you don't, you're never gonna hit. I mean, trying to get this thing from the top is almost impossible. So I know I've done it once before, but just go ahead and deal with it right now. Okay, so we went in and got our new belts on. We checked our pulleys. They were all good, thank God. So we put our new belt on. We went in and got our new V-belt from Cat here locally. Got our new upper radiator hose done. Took this one out. I was kind of concerned about this pipe, but it's just on the inside here where it got rusted. It's not through and through. So I'm not... It's one of those things when you're doing it, you're like, do I replace this or do I don't? But it's not through and through. It's just in a couple of areas on the edge there. That's kind of what that looked like. But this, the hose sits way over this thing, so it should be fine. I really don't have time to keep this. You can only get these parts from Velocity, and Velocity takes like 2 weeks to get parts, and they make you drive down to their facility in Whittier. From where I live, it's like 2-hour drive, so 4 hours round trip. Fortunately, this is all at the bottom, so if I do have a failure or no there's a problem here, this can be done from the bottom side without having everything out. I hope I don't have an issue, but if I do, it is manageable. I don't think it's an issue, to be really honest. I think it's superficial. There's a little bit of rust on there, but with fresh coolant, it'll stop the rust from growing. Shouldn't be an issue going forward. So we got our new belts on. I got the wrong hose clamp, so I got to go back. The hose clamp that hooks onto the engine is smaller than the ones that hook onto the radiator. I got the ones all the same size, so I have to go back and go swap that out. But once I do that, I can do the rest of the hoses. They gave me 2 of the same hose. It's a lot, Velocity. It says on there clearly radiator side, and they got me 2 of them. They're like, oh, there's 2 elbows. Yes, but they're not the same. That elbow is different from that one. This is a 90-degree elbow, and that is a 45-degree elbow. So hopefully Cat can source me out a one that will fit that one. So I'm going to remove it so I can take it over to them so they can match it. If they can, I'll take it somewhere else and see if they can match it. I really can't wait for a week and a half for Velocity to find the right hose and whatever. And that's, sometimes you have to double check what they do. Unfortunately, they make mistakes, for human. But I'm going to go ahead and take that hose off right now so that I can deal with trying to match it up. Okay, so we had some fun here. So I had to match up a hose, which involved buying this hose of a similar size, which is ginormous. It's the only one that was close with the right angle that I needed. And see what I cut out of this one. Of course, it's a $90 hose off of F450. So anyway, cut out the section I needed, went ahead and used it. And it's the same quality, it's from Napa, so of course it's made in USA and it's good quality hose. It's just a shame I couldn't get the right hose from Velocity in the first try. The one thing I will tell you when you're doing these hoses is keep in mind you want your hose clamps face down, so that if you need to work on this on the road, you don't have all your clamps facing up where you can't get to them, because obviously we can do it from here. I know it's a little more difficult to mount it from the bottom, but pro tip, face them down so that if you ever need to get down there and deal with something, you have room to do so. This one I know I angled this way, but it's because this one on this side is faced that way, and if I were to have to take this pipe off, it would be just pull that out and slide it out, since that thing likes to rust. But that was the section that we had to do. The only hose that we didn't have to replace is this one, because if you notice by the color, that is a silicone hose. Those are lifetime hoses. They generally never fail. That's what they use on police cars. Really kind of wish they used that hose through the whole thing, but again, manufacturers got to save some money somewhere. With that said, we have our upper hose on. Don't forget to put, again, your hose clamps on before you put the radiator in, so that you're not fumbling around trying to take care of that. Right now, we're going to go ahead and put the rest of the heat shielding in, fix that piece, put the fan back in, and then I will spray paint our radiator here, just with some heavy duty high temperature paint. And you know, it's not, well, it is necessary. Anytime you see that your paint's chipping or anything like this, you definitely want to spray it again, because again, you're just asking for corrosion. The bigger issue you'll see it looks like rust, but it's not rust. That's actually the copper shining through. And this isn't hard to prep. I mean, there's some stuff. We'll blow it out some more, make sure we get everything out of here. And you just want to give it a quick coat of high temperature paint on both sides. And it's just going to allow you to not have to deal with corrosion, because this radiator is almost $1,000. It's insane. I don't want to have to replace this radiator anytime soon, unless I have no choice. And the intercooler is not much cheaper. It's dang near $700. So this actually looks really good. I might still touch up the paint here in a couple areas, but and the side's worse. This is where the fan blows into it. You can see kind of some stuff. We'll blow this out too, whatever might be left in there. And we'll straighten out these fins, and then we'll put some paint on her. Again, high temperature paint's your best bet when doing this, just so that you don't have an issue with the paint coming off. So we're getting there. My son out here on painting duty here. So let's just get even coverage, cover all the area. You don't want to get it goopy, but you want high temperature paint because it goes on thin and it won't flake off when it gets hot. So get this all sprayed on and we'll get ready for installation tomorrow. Get an intercooler done here. The key is not too thick, but just enough to protect it. This was sandblasted by the fan, so it had some areas that were exposed. The other side's in good shape, so we're going to go ahead and just address the side that's an issue. I'm guessing the football game's going well, if I hear that in the background. But we just want to have enough protection on there because, again, this is copper and aluminum, and you can't have that exposed. It will deteriorate very quickly without proper paint protection on it. So I just use one of these tools, these panel removal tools, and I just get it in here, remove these tabs, and you just get some force in there and they come out. That way you can reuse them. So we have the fan back on. Important note, make sure you put thread locker on that. You don't want these bolts coming out. We put all the heat shielding in place. I just got one more cap I have to put on there that I can't seem to find, but I'll locate it before we start reassembly here. But everything's pretty much ready to put the radiator back in. I am putting new screws in. You can get them on Amazon. They're fairly cheap. You can get stainless black, and they're strong enough. And get 8s and 10s, because the number 8s are what comes on your factory, but a lot of the holes, they whittled out and they're bigger. So having 10s, there's a good idea to go and upsize a few of the holes that may not work correctly. We got our shroud all cleaned up. We got our reservoir ready to go back on. I know it looks like crap, but that's only a couple of years old. They just don't hold up very well. I mean, looking wise, I mean, it works. We got our painted intercooler. We only had to paint the fan side. The other side is in good shape. We had good gloss barbecue paint, which worked nice, which is high temperature paint. But we ran out of it and we had to go matte black, which is fine. What I like about the high temperature barbecue paint better than the engine enamel is that it goes on thinner and it's better for radiators. You want as little paint as possible with a maximum amount of protection, because again, this is a brass radiator with aluminum core, and that's a problem. If you don't keep paint on that, it will start to corrode fairly quickly. You got the back panel, we went and painted that. So I thought I was going to do this in a 2-part series, but looks like we're doing 3 parts, guys. We're going to end the video here. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you have any questions or you're going through this yourself, happy to help you. Otherwise, thanks again and have a great night.